We've been making an exploration into form is emptiness, and emptiness is form. Do you remember that story about Mullah Nasruddin? The time he was sitting at the coffee shop with his friend, and his friend said to him, "Mullah, why is it you've never got married?" And Mullah Nasruddin said, "Well, it was because I was looking for the perfect woman." "Oh," said his friend, "did you never find her?" And Mullah said, "Oh yes, I did. But first of all, I met a woman who was perfect in every way, except she wasn't practical. She was very spiritual, she liked to inquire about mystical things, but she couldn't cook and she couldn't look after a house. And then I found a woman who was practical, could cook and manage a house very well, but she had no intuition and she wasn't interested at all in matters of mysticism. And then I met a woman who was perfect in every way. She was practical, she knew the way to run a household, and she was of a spiritual bent." And his friend said, "Well, why didn't you marry her then?" And Mullah, looking very crestfallen, said, "Well, it so happened she was looking for the perfect man." And then in a time long ago, in a place far away, there was a certain Raja. Now this Raja was inordinately rich. Every day he had a jewel of inestimable wealth as a pin in his turban. His coffers were full of every kind of treasure that you could imagine. He had a kingdom that was equally wealthy and flourishing, but the one thing in his life that was a great thorn in his side was that he never had a son. And in the tradition of that realm, that kingdom, there had to be a son who would be able to undertake all the rituals that took place when a monarch left the body. So this was a great concern to him. But this Raja was handsome and very virile, in fact. He had a sexual urge that was surpassing most other men. So he had many wives, and his women's quarters were overflowing with female progeny. But one day, the Raja came bursting out of his bedchamber, down the passageways, shouting, "Where is that vizier? Where is that chamberlain?" Well, servants came from everywhere, running out to see what it was about, and finally the chamberlain came running up the passage, hastily putting on his cloak. And "What is it, monarch? What is it, monarch?" And the Raja was saying, "Look, look, look!" And the vizier was saying, "What is it, your majesty, what is it?" He said, "A white hare. And yesterday I didn't have any desire for any of my wives. Something's got to be done." Well, the vizier, very, very agitated, said to the Raja, well, your majesty, it so happens that I've just heard about a great sage who has just come to take up residence in our kingdom. He's 3 days' ride away from here, but I'm sure if we send a messenger for him, he will come, and perhaps he will be able to solve this problem. Send for him straight away. I offer him half my kingdom if he can ensure that I have a son. Saddle my finest horse and send a messenger off for him. Well, the messenger was sent off, but you know, the Raja was spending sleepless nights in concern about his white hair and his absence of virility. So he tossed and turned at night. So he happened to be having an afternoon nap when his Grand Vizier knocked on his door, woke him up and said, "Majesty, Majesty, the sage has arrived. He's in the courtyard, and your wives are now waving the incense to purify the area for him. Bring him into the throne room," said the Raja, hastily putting on another turban with bejeweled pin in it. And he came down to his throne room, and there was the sage, sitting cross-legged on a sheepskin in lotus position, his eyes closed. So the Raja hummed and to get the attention of the sage. And the sage opened his eyes and said, "Your Majesty, what is it that I can do for you?" And the Raja told him the situation. The sage closed his eyes for some moments, and he said, "You have in your treasury an object that has cursed and put a spell on you. This object was obtained by one of your ancestors by ill-gotten means. But if this object is returned to its rightful owner, the spell, the curse, will be lifted." "What is it?" said the Raja. "What is it?" Old sage closed his eyes again and then opened them and said, "It is an emerald scorpion. It belongs to a Maharaj who lives in a neighboring realm and has become impoverished by its absence. Quickly, quickly!" The Raja calls his servants and the chamberlain, and they went down to his vast treasury. And they searched and searched and searched amongst all of the priceless objects until they found the emerald scorpion. The Raja said, "Quickly, get my horse ready. We are leaving immediately." The sage pointed out to the Raja that this now penniless Maharaj's kingdom was a wooden palace easily found amongst that impoverished nation. So the Raja rode off with his entourage of servants. When he arrived, he did find this kingdom in dire straits. There was famine in the land. The people were poor, on the point of starving. And the palace, when they came to it, was a wooden structure, dilapidated. They came into the presence of the Maharaj, who was sitting on a stool in the middle of what could not be called in any ways a throne room. And his only daughter was sitting doing embroidery under the window pane. The Raja came in with great pomp and ceremony and said, "I have come to return that which was taken from you by ill-gotten means." And he took out the emerald scorpion and handed it to the Maharaj. The instant this exquisite piece was put in the hands of the Maharaj, immediately his kingdom was transformed. The palace was restored to its grandeur. He sat on a golden throne, bedecked in ermine robes. The Maharaj said, "Take my daughter as your wife." And so a marriage took place. The Maharaj's daughter went back as the Raja's bride, and 1 year later she gave birth to a beautiful and healthy son. And each year thereafter, for 3 years, she gave birth to a healthy boy child. We might ask, what relevance does this story have to our inquiries into the statement, form is emptiness and emptiness is form? But to do so, we have to dive deep into this story. Just like we have to dive deep into our own psyche, into our own unconscious, to find the pearl of great price that lies in its coffers. What's the meaning of this story for you? What arises in your awareness as to a possible explanation or understanding of this tale? Contains many elements. Many elements from the 3 levels of existence, cause and effect, the magic spiritual realm, the realm of interrelatedness and oneness. How have they come together in you? What's the meaning of this story?
Well, it's a bit like, once he unburdened, what was time in there, getting rid of the scorpion, the stone, and we know that scorpions that, have that sting, that bite, that poison, and then once he gave that back, leaf, quite happily, he got, then the wife, the girl represents, the princess represents that marrying that we do with the divine, and then he gets the three sons represent the three, those last things that you said, Pat, did I forget?
Yes. Yes.
Something like that.
Yes, indeed. How could that? Sorry.
Perhaps also that there lies within us things from our ancestral lineage that might hold us back, that need to be released as well.
Certainly. Certainly.
Of no doing of
Our own.
in this lifetime that have been carried forth through eons along the
Totally.
lineage.
Yeah, it seems like to me until form, emptiness and men are in kind of alignment, to say, on a spatial way. It's not, the world is not in order.
In order. Yes.
It's like an interrelationship of all things. The form relates to the emptiness and the emptiness to the form.
Yes.
It's interesting you look at the meaning of giving things and how that plays out in your life and whether that supports you or not.
Yes.
And then when you understand meaning that you've given things doesn't support you, then you can actually get rid of it. Because there's usually more than one way of seeing things. So those two stories were pretty much from what I could tell about points of view and meanings you've given things in the past and how that affects your life right now.
Yes. Thank you.